Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. We've got another Seahawks video to get to today, but first I want to give a shout out to all my subscribers, and special tip of the cap goes to the channel members, especially elite channel members, Brendon, Mikel, Hasher for MVP, VGK Tiger 75, Ryguy, Salacious, Crumb, Brendan Nelson's haircut, TVO, It's Hoof, the Reno, and What's These Nuts. So it's time to take a look at the second position of big and obvious need for the Seattle Seahawks. We've already done all we can do about wide receiver at this point, in my estimation. I've already given all the thoughts that I have about that spot, so let's move on. And as I alluded to in the past, we will be doing the center position. And as of right now, the Seahawks have two centers on the roster. Ethan Posick, who, well, it depends on who you ask, right? Some people think he's really good. Some people think he's okay. Some people think he's okay, but he has the chance to be really good in the Shane Waldron offense. Some people think he's average. People think he's bad. Some people think he's awful. Some people think he should be a backup. You can find all kinds of different takes on Ethan Posick. And then you have Kyle Fuller, who probably belongs on a practice squad. So we can clearly get better there. And Posick is making a backup salary. He's 1 year, $3 million this year. So, hey, if he was a backup, that wouldn't be a problem at all, I don't think. So, let's talk about making a big push to improving at the center position. Now, first, before we get into what we might do in the first 3 rounds, which is to say our second round pick or an acquired third round pick, what we could do to improve at center. So, first, let's talk about what we might be looking for in a center, because that's crucial. And anybody can find a good center prospect in this draft. There are a couple of obviously valuable guys you could get at center. But is the center right for what we're doing? Is the center going to be right for the new offense? That's the question. So I don't think I'm saying anything too shocking here, but Shane Waldron's offense is likely to require a good deal of mobility and agility from interior offensive linemen. I expect to see our center, whoever it may be, on the move a lot, moving into the second level, blocking linebackers, blocking defensive backs, needing to work well in space, needing to be able to move, and needing to be able to find a guy to block in a wide area and then getting that block done. Not something we really saw a ton of under Schottenheimer, but I expect a lot more of it this year. Zone blocking scheme and more of a focus on outside running should be implemented in 2021. So, generally speaking, what we are looking for more than what we were looking for under Schottenheimer is a center with some degree of mobility and agility, which is why I'm okay with bringing back Posick. I think he can be pretty good at that kind of stuff. Now, let's put Posick to the side for a second. And before we dive into these prospects we're going to be looking at today, these are prospects you could get with a second or third round pick, basically our top pick, wherever it may fall. Most of the time when I'm going to be doing these videos, I'm going to be spending time only talking about the prospects who stood out to me as guys that I think are good and guys who I think would be good fits, basically guys who I want to draft. This video is not going to be that. I'm going to go ahead and spoil a little bit of that right now. We're going to be doing things a little differently for this one, because the way I see it, we kind of have a real issue here. And rather than spending this video talking about which top-level center prospects I like, I'm going to talk about why I don't like the top center prospects in this draft, and therein lies the issue that we're kind of having here. But let's just go ahead and jump in and you'll see what I mean soon. So, first prospect we're going to be taking a look at here, Landon Dickerson of Alabama. And he is possibly the best center in this draft. A lot of people consider him to be the top prospect at center in this draft. 6'6", 326 pounds. He's 22 years old. He played at, I think it was like Florida State for a little bit before transferring to Alabama. So he's big and he's strong. He's a prototype for a mauling center in the NFL. His draft value, pretty much everybody thinks he's going to go in the second round. If you take a look here, The Draft Network think he's going to be a high second rounder. ESPN thinks he'll be a low second rounder. Most of these other places are in the middle. Walter Football is a little less bullish. They have him going either second or third. And then PFN hates this guy. They have him as a 6th round pick, which is silly, but hey, that's what they have. All right, so here's my notes on Landon Dickerson, and let's start with the positives. He's got experience at multiple offensive line positions. I know he played a lot of right guard as well as a lot of center, so he can do both. And I think he can play other positions too. He's very big, and he knows how to use his size. He's very strong and powerful at the point of attack. You know, this is a mauler. This is a guy who can transform your running game, and if you paired him with a power running attack or a inside zone rushing attack, you would probably really get a big boost. So yeah, he engages quickly and does not allow release, and he's got a great motor. So this is a very nice center prospect. However, and this is important, this is one of the most important things that I think we can look at when evaluating a center, and this is why I really am put off on potentially drafting this guy. He's not a good athlete, and he's dependent on being able to stay in a controlled environment. And for a center, what that basically means is that he's good when you line him up across from a defensive tackle and tell him, hey, there's your man, keep him from getting to the quarterback. Or, there's your man, push him out of the way so you have a running lane for our running back. And while that has its place in the NFL for sure, I am not sure how well it's going to fit in the Seahawks offense. He's not somebody who ever proved himself to be able to move. He's slow for a center, and he's best when you just put him right in front of his task and tell him, hey, go put that guy on the ground. He's also got severe injury problems. He tore his ACL in 2016. He broke his ankle twice, and then he had a ligament injury in 2020. So he's had one healthy season. And other than that, his legs are already all messed up. So injuries are a huge red flag for Landon Dickerson. So right away, I'm going to say this. Take Landon Dickerson off the table for the Seahawks. He may be a good player in the NFL if he can overcome his injury problems. I don't think it's going to work here. But there are other good center prospects, right? So let's put Dickerson to the side for a minute and talk about the other top center prospect in this draft. So, center prospect number 2, we have Creed Humphrey of Oklahoma. And this is the guy that a lot of Seahawks fans are much more interested in as a center prospect. And it makes some sense why, but let's take a look at what I found. So, Creed Humphrey, Oklahoma Sooner, one of the best offenses in the league perennially, nation perennially. He's 6'5", 312 pounds, so he's a little lighter than Dickerson, which I think is probably good. I know he's a little faster. His 40 time is like 0.15 seconds faster, which indicates that his skill set might be a little more fit for what Waldron wants to do, probably. But let's think about let's approach that in a more direct fashion. First, if you take a look at his approximate draft value, PFN loves him. They think he's a first rounder, but everyone else here thinks he's a mid-second rounder. PFF thinks he's a third rounder, and Walter Football has him in that range as well. He's probably going to be a second rounder. Outside chance he's available for the Seahawks at number 56 overall. So, he's a 3-year full-time starter for one of the best offenses in the NCAA, and he knows how to use his strength and large frame, and he's very smart. So, he's got a lot of stuff going for him in that regard, right? He's got good size, he's got good strength, he's intelligent. Hey, he's got it all, except, and I'm sorry to have to highlight more negatives, but he's a limited athlete according to the scouting reports that I read, and at Oklahoma, he mostly worked within a small area. When he was at Oklahoma, he generally just worked on what was right in front of him and pushed players over who were lined up across from him, or it was basically, he didn't have to go on the move to find his blocks. He didn't have to bounce to the second level in order to find his blocks that often. And unlike Landon Dickerson, I think Creed Humphrey could maybe learn how to do those things, but I am afraid I have to put the kibosh on the Creed Humphrey hype for the Seahawks a little bit because who knows how long that'll take to teach him. So if you're a Creed Humphrey fan and you want the Seahawks to draft him, you're going to have to sell me on him a little bit because while I concede that he's a little more athletic than Landon Dickerson, I'm still not sure if this is the kind of guy we want to use our second round pick on when, as I just kind of went into, he's probably going to be a project. So, yeah, I'm not really feeling the Creed Humphrey thing anymore, guys, I have to say. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL, but yeah, not sure it's going to fit in this offense. All right. So those are the top two, but there are other top prospects. So let's go to Josh Myers of Ohio State. Okay, let's take a look at this guy here. Okay, so Ohio State, 6'5", 312 pounds. So he's basically the same size as Creed Humphrey. And his draft evaluation, PFN and Tankathon think he's going to be a mid-second rounder. Sporting News, Draft Network think he'll be a mid-third. ESPN has him in the early fourth. Walter Football has him in the third through fifth. And PFF has him in the fifth round, which I seriously doubt is going to happen, but these are the ranges. Now, this one is a little more interesting to me, actually. This one caught my eye a little bit more than the first two. He's big, but he has good lateral mobility. He knows how to move side to side, and he's probably going to be at least an average NFL starter just on the back of his strength and his build. So if you get him, his floor is capable starter in the NFL. Basically, his floor is, I don't know, Ethan Posick, except they play differently. But in terms of general quality, maybe might be able to reshape his body to add the mobility needed to be a second level blocker. That's one thing I did notice when I was scouting him, and that is appealing. However, as of right now, as near as I can tell from these scouting reports, he is best served staying in the middle because at the moment he doesn't really have good quickness, balance, or control in space. So he might be able to learn how to be a good second level blocker. And there's some value to that because we do have a veteran center on a 1 year deal who could maybe mentor Josh Myers and hold down the starting spot for a year. But is that really what we're trying to do with our second or third round picks? Do we really want to get a guy who's just going to redshirt? Yeah, I'm not really excited about Josh Myers either, really, once you take a look at this scouting report, unless he's really reshaping his body now. So, yeah, that's prospect number three. I'm still not really feeling it, guys. Sorry. Okay, so now we've done Josh Myers. There's one more guy I want to go over in the video today, and I'm probably going to irritate some people with this one. I'm going to make some people mad, but so be it. So, prospect number four, Quinn Meiners of Wisconsin Whitewater Division 3. Okay. So, for those of you who are not in the know, Quinn Meiners has kind of come out of nowhere in the last month or so to become a very intriguing draft prospect and basically went from a complete unknown to a potential second round pick on the back of his Senior Bowl performance. He played Division III football for a storied Division III franchise in Wisconsin Whitewater. He's 6'3", 320 pounds, so he looks the part. And he was very, very good at the Senior Bowl to the point where he is now actually being touted as the next great Division III offensive lineman. Pro Football Focus and ESPN think he'll be a second round pick. Pro Football Network and Tankathon have him as a third rounder. The Draft Network says fourth, and Walter Football thinks anywhere from the third to the fifth. A lot of Seahawks fans really like this guy. I've seen him go to the Seahawks in a couple of mock drafts. I've seen a couple of Seahawks writers and Seahawks prognosticators say that they should get this guy. I know a lot of people really want to get this guy. I'm sorry, but you have to be joking, okay? Um, I feel like I'm getting punked or something with this because once I went to go read this guy's scouting report and take a look at him, I don't get it. I don't, if this is a joke, then okay, you got me, but I don't get it. All right, let's start with the positives. Let's try to be nice because I think this guy will probably fit in the NFL somewhere quite well. But Yeah, okay, let's go to it. He's a rags to riches story from Mobile, Alabama. He showed up at the Senior Bowl and wowed people. He had a lot of experience playing at Wisconsin Whitewater. I think he started 3 or 4 years. He's very strong and he knows how to use that strength very well. He has a very strong understanding of those concepts. And that's all well and good. And he's probably going to carve out a passable NFL career just on the basis of that. But despite his high level of experience, he is very raw and will need a lot of coaching to be more than just a practice squad player in the NFL. So, right away, I'm listening to these people saying we should use our second round pick on this guy. And I'm thinking to myself, you want to use our second round pick on a guy who is too raw to play for at least a couple years? You want to use our second round pick on a red shirt and a blood red shirt, like a 2 year red shirt possibly? Because everything I read indicated he is not NFL ready yet at all. So right then and there, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of out on this already. But reading on, he's not a very good athlete. And I know there are going to be some people out there who say, oh, he did a 360 dunk as a 320-pound dude. He's a great athlete. But while that's all well and good, but according to what I've seen, the only thing that he really excelled at in even the Senior Bowl, but in college, was out muscling his opponents. He could just use his strength to win. He wasn't great in terms of using his brain to out technique anybody. He made a lot of mistakes that in the NFL are going to get him punished. There's just a lot of stuff in his game that desperately needs to be worked on, and it's probably going to be a couple years before he's good at those things. So all I see here is a bruiser, and that's kind of the opposite of what we need. I'm not seeing the skill set that I'm looking for in a Shane Waldron offense center. The only thing that might change my tune on some of this stuff is Shane Waldron is actually looking for a completely different kind of center than I'm thinking he is. Maybe he's just thinking, okay, we're going to ground and pound it with Carson up the middle all day. But I don't think that's Shane Waldron. I don't. I don't know what the point of hiring Shane Waldron would have been if that's all he wants to do. And as near as I can tell, based off what I've read, he's likely to be a guard in the NFL, not a center. His skill set lends itself better to being a guard, and we don't need guards. So I'm sorry, but I have to dismiss the Quinn Meiners thing as a meme. It I don't get it. And I know a lot of people really like this guy and a lot of people want us to draft him, but I'm sorry, I couldn't be less interested in Quinn Meiners if he, I don't know, had a video of him smoking a bong come out right before the draft, uh, if you know what I mean. So those are really the only big time second to early third round centers that we can talk about. Those four guys are the guys. I think that maybe some people were saying there's this one other guy who might sneak up into the top 80 picks, but those are kind of the four guys you could consider taking with our first pick. And I don't like any of them. Unless Shane Waldron is looking for something very different than I am. I don't see it, guys. So that's a little sobering, right? We can't get a top center prospect without betraying the skill set that I think a center in the Waldron offense needs. So next video tomorrow, we're going to take a more optimistic slant and actually try to look for some centers we like rather than dismissing the centers who are considered to be the best in this class. But for now, I have to say, I don't see us addressing center in the second or even early third round because these guys don't do it for me. All right, guys. Let me know if you think I'm wrong in the comments, by the way. If you think one of these guys could be a good fit for the Waldron offense, say it down below. Let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one of these guys is athletic enough to become a good move center, but I call it like I see it. See you guys in stream later today. Peace out, go Hawks, and on to the next one, guys. On to the next one.